The movie starts in a dark, thick forest. A woman is yelling, "William, William," as if she's searching for someone. Suddenly, she stops, frozen in fear. In front of her is a terrifying sight. A creature, looking human but behaving like a beast, is eating a man. The scene cuts to the present. We meet a little girl named Willow, who lives with her family in a house deep in the forest. At first, her life seems normal, but Willow has always felt something was off. She never really knew what was going on with her parents, but she was determined to find out. One night, she secretly follows her parents as they carry a dead animal into the woods. Just when Willow is about to discover something, her grandpa appears and pulls her away. "It's dangerous in the forest tonight," he warns. "Stay inside." The next morning, Willow's mom returns home looking worried. Her dad is in even worse shape. He looks sick and weak. Her mom and grandpa help him to his room, whispering to each other, "He won't last much longer." Willow overhears this and starts to wonder what's wrong with her dad. That night, she is startled by her dad's loud screams. It sounds like he's in pain. She rushes to his room, but when she opens the door, her dad, no longer looking like himself, lunges at her. Just as he's about to attack, Willow wakes up. It was all a nightmare. Or was it? The next day, Willow sees her mom washing her dad's coat, which is covered in blood. Her heart races. She finally gathers the courage to ask, "Mom, what's going on?" Her mom quickly replies, "Nothing, sweetie. Everything's fine. Don't worry." But Willow isn't convinced. That night, she sneaks out and overhears her parents talking. "I'm getting worse, Imogen," her dad says. "I'm putting you in danger." Before he can say more, her mom tells him to rest. Willow listens, feeling scared and confused. What are they hiding? Things get worse when Willow's dad catches her spying. His eyes are red and wild, not human at all. Terrified, she runs to her room, her heart pounding, barely able to breathe. The next morning, her mom, Imogen, decides to take Willow to the city. It's Willow's first trip there, and she's excited, but something still feels wrong. Her grandpa gives her some money for chocolates, and they head off. During the trip, Imogen stops to change clothes, and Willow secretly watches. She's shocked to see her mom's body covered in bruises and scars. When her mom catches her looking, she warns, "Don't tell anyone about this, okay? It's our secret." Willow nods, trying to push down her fear. Imogen then teaches her how to drive to lighten the mood, and they do some shopping in the city. But when they return home, Willow's dad is waiting, and he's not happy. As soon as he sees the new clothes Imogen bought for Willow, he grabs the dress, sniffs it strangely, and then forces both Willow and her mom inside. "You know I love you both, right? Don't leave me," he says in a creepy voice. It doesn't feel like love. It feels like a warning. Days pass, and soon it's another full moon night. As before, Willow's mother packs up an animal and takes her father into the forest. Willow decides to follow them again, wanting to know what happens in the woods. She sneaks behind them and watches as her mother ties her father to a tree in a cave. She leaves the animal inside the cave with him, locks the door with an iron bar, and heads back home. Willow, determined to know the truth, sneaks into the cave through a small gap in the door. She sees something so horrifying that she faints. Her mother, realizing Willow is in danger, rushes back and takes her home. It's revealed that Willow saw her father transform into a beast, a werewolf. His body changed, his skin tore apart, his nails grew long. This is the truth Willow has feared. The next morning, the family is sitting at the dining table. Willow's father looks deranged, while her mother behaves as if nothing unusual happened. Scared, Willow leaves the table and runs to her grandfather's house. When her parents come looking for her, her grandfather tries to protect her, but her parents become aggressive, demanding that Willow come home. Unable to take it anymore, Willow quietly returns to her home, and she can't stop thinking about everything that's happened. That night, her grandfather comes to the house and whispers in her ear that it's time to leave because she's in danger. Willow agrees to go with him, but her father catches them and forces her back into the house. Now, even her mother is starting to realize how dangerous her father has become. She tells her own father, Willow's grandfather, that he's not welcome in their home anymore and shuts the door on him. This leaves Willow heartbroken because her grandfather was the only one who understood her. To cheer her up, Willow's father takes her into the forest where she had seen him transform before. Scared, she believes he's going to hurt her, but instead, he sits her down and tells her a story about his grandfather, a good man who would mysteriously disappear into the forest every full moon. His grandfather, it turns out, was a werewolf. To protect his family, he would go into the woods every full moon night. One day, my grandmother followed him into the forest and saw him in his monstrous form. Terrified, she fainted. The next morning, when he transformed back into a human, he realized that in his werewolf state, he had killed his own wife. This was the same scene from the beginning of the movie. The old woman calling for William was his wife. Back in the present, Willow's father reveals that he is also a werewolf, just like his grandfather. He becomes emotional, and Willow hugs him, trying to comfort him. They return home, where Willow's mother is happy to see them in good spirits. The three of them lie down together, and Willow's mother tells her husband that she loves him, even in his monstrous form. The next day, Willow's father takes her back into the forest. He tries to cheer her up, telling her that she's the princess of the forest. But then he suddenly gets angry after finding a dress her mother had worn on their trip to the city. Enraged, he questions Willow about it, but she says nothing. He throws her sandwich on the ground and drags her back home. Back at the house, her father takes her mother into the forest again, even though it's not a full moon. The next day, Willow's mother is in terrible shape. Time passes, and soon it's Willow's birthday. To celebrate, her mother bakes her a cake, and her grandfather gives her a small gift which makes her very happy. Days later, it's once again a full moon night. As usual, Willow's parents go into the forest, but this time something strange happens to Willow too. Her nails grow, and she starts to feel strange sensations in her body, just like her father's transformation. Before she fully changes, she wakes up, realizing it was just a nightmare. Frightened, she grabs her oxygen mask and tries to calm herself. But when she goes to the kitchen to get water, she hears strange noises outside the door. Before she can open it, her grandfather stops her, telling her that her father has returned from the forest, and he's not himself. Willow's mother returns home alone without her father. Sensing danger, her grandfather rushes to protect her. Armed with a gun, Willow's mother May shot her husband, causing Willow to panic and faint. They try to give her oxygen, but the tank is empty, so her mother hurries to the basement to get a new one. Just as her mother returns, they realize someone has entered the house, Willow's father. Her grandfather tries to fight him off, but Willow's father, in his werewolf form, throws him against the wall, killing him. Willow's mother hides with her in a cupboard, trying to stay quiet. Willow wakes up just as her father enters the room. He doesn't find them, but Willow knows he's getting closer. Her mother tells her to take the car and escape if she doesn't come back in 2 minutes. But as they try to leave, Willow's father catches up with them and takes her into the forest. In the final confrontation, Willow's mother uses her love for her husband to calm him down, reminding him that they are his family. This works momentarily, but then he remembers a moment of anger from their past and becomes violent again. As he attacks her, a lamp falls and starts a fire. Seeing this, Willow comes up with an idea. She uses her oxygen tank to fuel the fire, directing it at her father. He burns to death, and finally, they are free from the terror that had consumed their lives. In the last scene, Willow reads a book as her mother packs for their new life. She reflects on her father, who wasn't really a werewolf, but a disturbed man who enjoyed torturing his family. The story ends with Willow and her mother preparing to start fresh, away from the darkness of their past.